So you want a tortoise?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought it would look nice in the backyard.
That's a desert tortoise, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's not like he's going to be escaping or biting anybody, so
Yeah.
I don't think they take much care.
My in-laws had them, and they are notorious escape artists.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and if you do end up getting one, make sure that, and they dig. They will dig down and under and out. Make sure that, and they're incredibly fast, relatively speaking. I mean, you blink and they're across the yard. But your entrances and exits to where you're keeping them, make sure that I'm sure you have a man gate.
Yeah.
Make sure that you bury a 2x4 or some brick underneath where they would dig underneath it, so they can't get past it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because they're industrious little creatures, but they're very cool. They're very cool, and they will outlive us all, I think.
Oh yeah.
The big ones are amazing. I apparently there are some that will grow proportionately to their surroundings, and other ones just will grow into these giant, park benches. So.
Yeah. Because I didn't know. I thought, well, I have room on the side of the yard. I haven't done anything to. I could dig a little ditch, a little pit. And sink in a like a cat litter box sort of thing, and fill that with sand or something like that.
Yeah.
Well,
John, we're back.
Yeah.
I hope everybody, all of our it's Padre Door. I hope everybody has enjoyed our hiatus episodes. I mean, maybe we didn't even mention it. We snuck away. And took a little bit.
Well, you were. I mean, on a couple of weeks ago, you did confess that you had shot Bruno Mars. So
yes, true.
I didn't know where. I imagine. It was.
I guess I need to. It's funny, as a professional photographer and filmmaker. It's strange how terminologies have even changed for us. You're right. Shot. I'm actually mindful.
Yeah.
And I used to call, when I would ask clients, how many shooters do you need, and it's a little. It's just an industry term.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I find myself saying photographs or pics. I don't like pics.
Yeah.
I think that denigrates the actual photograph. But we're not going to shoot Bruno Mars anymore. We're going to photograph him.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I hope everybody enjoyed our hiatus episodes. But we are back and enjoying what is it? Saturday. It's Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday here. Right at the end. We're almost in October. It's still 100 degrees outside.
Yes. The Al Gore may be right. Everything may be melting. But today, actually, I have some guys photographing the Las Vegas Harley-Davidson store on Las Vegas Boulevard, right down the street from Mandalay Bay.
Yeah.
They are having a wonderful motorcycle run in remembrance of the October 1st shootings.
Oh.
And so I hope my guys are out there having fun. But Harley-Davidson does a great job out there. I have a good friend, Sam, who sort of runs the marketing out there. And but yeah, it's a big deal. And we have wonderful runs here. Have you ever done a run?
No.
Have you ever gone to Laughlin or Sturgis or seen those things?
No, I haven't. I'm not a motorcycle kind of guy.
No. Yeah. I've been to the Laughlin one, and it's exactly as you expect it to be, but great people. I mean, they just have a lot of fun, and it's a hardcore bunch of dudes, though, and dudes and chicks. But Las Vegas Harley-Davidson is right down the street from Mandalay Bay, right next to Maverick Helicopters if you're going on a helicopter ride at the Strip. And it's right across from the Welcome to Las Vegas sign. You can't miss it. So, and they have one of the largest street-based signs that Las Vegas has. So if you get a chance, visit those guys over at Harley-Davidson. During my hiatus, John and I have actually been talking in the pre-show about where I was. I went to Chicago, great city. But I was going to ask you, John, Las Vegas is referred to as the adult Disneyland. Now, I was just at Disneyland. I was enjoying a wonderful vacation with my mom, her 80th birthday, and soon to be my 50th. and we decided to go there and really have a great time. And long story short, had an amazing time. And I have to laud every effort of Disneyland, a Disney property, for their engagement and assistance as it regards ADA compliance. I was actually pushing my mom around in a wheelchair to make it an easier trip, and it was amazing. They did such an exemplary job. However, when I got back, I got to thinking about what we're going to talk about. And people refer to Las Vegas as the adult Disneyland.
Yeah.
That I cannot agree.
No. I guess it comes from, originally Disneyland was the original amusement park.
Yeah.
So you really didn't have any other amusement parks. So everybody knows that as the standard. When you talk about it's a Disneyland, it's an amusement park.
Right.
So yeah, it is in the sense that it appeals in the same way originally that Disneyland appealed to children. Las Vegas appealed to adults, and the fact that there are attractions and different things to see. Las Vegas had different shows. It had different vices that were adult oriented. They had different table games. They had whatever. Yeah. But yeah, there the comparison ends, because we were also talking. Disneyland was smart enough not to completely throw the baby out with the bathwater when they update things. They keep the old stuff.
Yes.
And I remember, when my son Gio was like 6 or 7, and I took him to Disneyland. Now he's going to be 18. We went on really the scariest ride for kids is that Snow White. And why is it? It's creepy inside. It's dark. But it's exactly the same thing that I remember when I was his age.
Yes.
At that time. So, they haven't changed some of those things. Which is great, because there is also that nostalgic factor. And look, they're a shrewd business company. I mean, I can't stand them as a corporation, but they understand that, yeah, people who are older, compliant, those are the people that they're aiming for, and they probably have money and are willing to spend that. And if you don't have the money, tough shit, you're going to have to crawl.
Yeah, it's a pretty penny.
Yeah,
I mean, my mom and I did a without question a VIP trip of this place, because if you want ease and enjoyment, you pay the money, just like Vegas, just
like anything else. Yeah.
But very astute, John. You're right. Vegas, I think, is a polar opposite.
Yeah.
Because we destroy and build new.
Yeah.
Destroy and build new. Whereas you're right, Disneyland, there are even places in Disneyland that they will gate off old lands and old rides and old attractions, that they will gate off until they figure out what they're going to do with it later. And it could be years, it could be decades later, but they leave it there, and you can still see little glimpses of things that you used to visit in the past. And whereas Vegas, it just wipes it off clean and builds it back up. Now, it kind of brought to mind, do you think one of the things that we talk about Vegas, maybe to the detriment of our fan base, but I think Vegas has lost its nostalgia.
Yeah.
Or is losing it by what it's doing. Whereas I think Disney banks on the nostalgia with the addition of Marvel, with the addition of Star Wars and all the lands and all the technologies that they're put in place, that are put in place. Vegas, I think is shunning.
Yeah, and I think they shot themselves in the foot that way, because they should have. And it's fine if you want to have modern slot machines that have all the bells and whistles and the pictures on there, fine.
Right.
But there's something about the pull in the handle of the old fashioned ones. Yeah, maybe they cost more to maintain, but you're going to make money on it. People are going to want to try the old ones.
Right.
In the same way, you see these retro old telephones coming back, or even people putting the ring on their cell phones to remind them of something, and they completely have lost that. These people who make these decisions, they're almost like they're not alive. I mean, even in my profession, where I have to design and develop assessments for schools, part of the validity is this something the kids are really reading in class? Because if it's not, now I've got something different. I may not be measuring. It may not be a valid test. So we get input from teachers.
Right.
You're teaching it. Is this something similar to what they're reading? If they say no, well, then I got to find something different.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want it to be the same thing. It is because I don't want them to have read it before, but it needs to be something similar. So it's they don't do that. I don't think the people in Las Vegas, they always thinking of, what's the latest thing that the latest attraction, and we'll replace the old with the new. And Disney doesn't do that. They keep the old and they build the new also, but they have room for it. The whole California Adventure, a whole new theme park, which is on the same, it's just next door. They didn't replace the old one with new stuff.
Right.
So much, and there were a few things. Well, when they do make a change, it's big news. They got rid of those bears. I didn't like those bears anyway. The goddamn playing the fucking banjo.
The Country Bear Jamboree, yes.
Country Bears.
It's still in Florida.
Yeah. Oh, did they have it down there?
It's still in
Florida. And whatever it was, Mark Twain Island. I didn't even like that as a kid.
Mark Twain Island is in Disneyland. They just reopened it.
Oh, did they reopen it?
Yeah, they reopened it.
Yeah, but see, they kept it the same. Daniel Boone, whatever. I remember that from the 60s, right? The TV show. Right. Well, yeah, Disneyland understands that. Yeah. Kids these days now, they don't want to go on it, but the old people do.
Yeah. Now, I know we have a lot of fans, and thanks to everybody, but we have a lot of fans coming from the California area, and they're probably, their eye is closed and they're getting a little nauseous about, and I'm sure, when you live in the place of the amusement, we live here in Vegas, they live there in LA or Anaheim. You're kind of, Disneyland, barf. You know?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I'd really love to hear from our fans from Los Angeles. Are they, do they still love Disneyland? Do they still like it, respect it? Because I know that a lot of us, after a while, we love Las Vegas because of everything else it offers. No state tax and everything we've talked about. But we can really take or leave what's going on the Strip. Do we have some fantastic things happening? Well, sure. But everything that Disney does is received as a wow. It's like, oh, wow, that's going to be great. Marvel, amazing. Star Wars, fantastic. Here we're like Raiders, half of us are like, eh. The other half are like, well, it's just going to screw up the Strip. And the other, and it's everything that Vegas is doing is arguable. Whereas everything that Disney does, for the most part, is a welcome addition or a welcome subtraction, depending on what they do. So it's very interesting. I really definitely want to hear from everybody regarding that comparison. But I stand solid in my opinion that Vegas is not an adult Disneyland. It is not even close to a Disneyland, and I think that Vegas is not embracing the right technology. I just visited Disneyland and enjoyed all of their app-based mobile ordering, anything I could do, that would make my trip easier, and it did. It had solid, recognizable results, whereas the technology that Vegas is introducing and trickling in, whereas Disney just plops down this giant thing, I don't know. Vegas seems tentative about what it's doing now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is the Raiders. I think a lot of it, they're just waiting to see exactly what happens with Mark Davis and the Raiders. The infrastructure is changing. We've talked about that. The traffic is horrendous. The freeway system is a debacle, and the stadium pit is there. They're making progress, but I really do. I think Vegas is gun shy, to use a bad term, and it needs to wait for things, whereas Disneyland just forges ahead.
Yeah.
And they're sort of the harbinger of what happens in California.
Yeah, I don't know while you were gone if you heard this, but the Las Vegas also recently, in terms of sports, made another connection to Oakland. They have the 51s, and the 51s have been the minor league AAA team for the New York Mets for, a number of years.
Yeah, many, many years.
They've now changed. Starting next year, they'll be the Oakland A's minor league team.
I did know that was coming. I didn't think that was going to happen this year.
It was surprising to me because the A's, their minor league team used to be Sacramento. Mm-hmm. Well, you can drive from Oakland to Sacramento, in good traffic conditions in about an hour.
Right.
So that makes sense to have your team close by in case you needed a player.
Right.
And then they moved the team to Memphis.
Right.
So it's just like, so the Giants went in San Francisco, which team had been in Fresno, which is somewhat close, but still, it's not as convenient as Sacramento.
Yeah.
So they jumped on the opportunity and they moved their team to Sacramento.
Yeah.
And I thought, that seems kind of odd that Oakland would. So they weren't there very long. I think just a couple of years, 2-3 years.
Now
they're coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah, having not done research on it, did you read anything? Have they gotten closer or committed to a name change?
No, I haven't heard what the name might be. No,
I had heard they were changing it to some. It was a aeronautical name change, but they hadn't done it. And of course, the new stadium and all of our tax money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. But coming up, unfortunately, is a rather somber anniversary for Las Vegas, the October 1st shooting. There are a lot of events happening, the motorcycle run being, I believe, one of the first. But regardless of that, I wanted to ask you, because I've seen so many articles now as that approaches, as that date approaches, regarding schools and businesses instituting training for active shooter. And I don't know, I think I've talked about this with you on the podcast. Maybe I haven't, but your son is currently going to school, getting ready for college.
Yeah.
And have the schools informed you of their tactics as it regards active shooter training? And
no, I don't recall hearing that. Now, even a few years ago when I taught college in Washington State at, ironically, name was Clark County.
Oh, okay.
I lived there too.
Yeah.
It's different. It was a different Clark,
yes.
but it was. I taught at the college in Southern Washington, and as an instructor, I mean, I had was told, here's what you do. You lock the door, everybody goes back to this part of the room. Here's the phone back here, and you call. And there wasn't nothing came of it. But I went into my class one day, and because I taught at night. And there was a guy in there, there was one guy in there, and he didn't look like he belonged to my class. I didn't know who he was. So he says, are you the teacher? I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, he was a police detective. And he asked me if I knew this woman in my class. And I said, yeah, I know her. I know who she is. He goes, okay, well, she's had a restraining order against her husband, who was, and the problem is the husband signed up for an English class, a lower level class that's right across the hall from you. So it kind of violates the restraining order. But he was seen earlier today with a gun in the parking lot. So, he might, who knows, he might come gunning for the old lady, you know. Oh, Jesus, thanks. So she came in and I mentioned that. She goes, yeah, she had put this restraining order on him. So it was a bit tense for a couple of hours. They're wondering every time somebody walked down the hallway, is this guy going to come in and start firing?
Right.
Nothing happened. Guy never showed up. He took off because like I said, they were in the area. Yeah. But we didn't have that training.
And more so, the schools, it's becoming mandatory. And there's a brand new school that was just built down the way from us, near the Target Center. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's brand new, and you can tell that it's fortified. But schools, it's mandatory training now. But I read an article where there's a push to make businesses. Make it mandatory for businesses, or have benefits for having a program in place for active shooters, insurance benefits, and so on and so forth. Right at the beginning stages, but I was just curious if you work from your home base, so you're able to work remotely, as do I, generally speaking. But I'm asked many times, do you? And we've been asked on the podcast, do we have a trepidation or fear? And do we all know in Vegas that we're a target city for terrorism? I think we all do. In some way we do. Do we have it in our minds what happened on October 1st? No, I don't think we do. We know now that we have this thing that happened on October 1st. But is it a constant thing in our minds? I don't believe so.
No, as much as the thing that annoys me that I've gotten sick of is, for those that don't live here, the local news every single day, every day has something about that. They even have their own theme music to play. Usually they have theme music for, hey, here comes a part of the show that comes on. They have their own theme music for they're going to talk about October 1st shooting. Right. And it's gotten to the point where I said, okay, there's the difference between news and then just exploiting it because you need to fill airtime. Right. And I'm sick and tired of hearing about, a local artist wants to pay tribute. He's made this monument out of fucking popsicle sticks. I said, get this shit off the news. Because what happens is, whenever I hear that music, I shut off the volume because I know that I don't want to listen to this. This is just garbage. But it might be something that is useful. And their inability of just trying to just squeeze every last drop out of this story to exploit it, and it just loses meaning then. But the year before, when I'd gone to Las Vegas, and which is also outdoors, it wasn't in the same location because it was downtown as what happened across from Mandalay Bay. But I thought, watching the shows, hey, somebody up there in that in the room across at that hotel, they have a clear view of the stage. Yeah. And I thought, somebody could be up there on the roof with a gun. Right. I thought that, and in fact, one of the singers had even said, "Hey, everybody over there," and it was with the Avenged Sevenfold. How's everyone? At the Golden Nugget, because he can see it from there, and it's loud, and it's 11 o'clock at night, Right. So you kind of, and it was basically 6 months later that somebody did do that, and we do know that this asshole had scouted out Life is Beautiful, which was downtown, and he had gone to Chicago and was just looking for the best place where there's going to be a lot of people in a confined area. He didn't, that's what he was looking for.
Right. And I agree with you, and I think that our news, our marketing, is pretty tight. We try to keep bad things, but there are certain bad things that they glom onto and they keep going. And I think they unnecessarily unnerve our incoming people, especially people that have never been here before. Yeah. And I really do think they do the situation and injustice because it can be a remembrance, and of course it was quite a tragedy and needs to be avoided. Steps need to be taken, but all the people coming in, they don't need to be set on edge. We're fine. This was an anomaly, and hopefully people understand that. Yeah.
No, really, their biggest threat. People don't think about it as a threat. Yeah. Coming here, especially if you haven't been here before, is traffic. Yes. Getting hit by a car. Even myself, I'm being very cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of people on the sidewalk, and I'm driving down, Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip. I see people, they're playing grab ass, ha ha ha, and somebody tries to run out of the way of somebody, and they go right out on the street. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, geez. I mean, I saw it, and that's why I slowed down. I wasn't going that fast anyway, but nevertheless, they're not paying attention. Yeah. And hey, you don't have to be hit very hard. Get knocked to the ground, you could be dead, absolutely. Or really seriously injured.
And we have very convenient bridges in place. Just walk down a couple of feet and go across the bridge, and it's really cool to see the Strip that way. Yeah. But this kind of stems from a question I had from a while back, and I realized I never answered it. When is the best time to visit Las Vegas? Because I did a lot of research on when the best time to visit Disneyland is. Yeah. And much the same, strangely enough.
I would think so.
Yeah. The best time to visit Las Vegas in general now is between the months of September and November. Yeah.
The weather's great.
And also the week after Christmas, make sure to leave before New Year's if you don't want to do the New Year's thing. But very slow. Can be very slow. Yeah. Now, things are changing. Things are always changing in Vegas, but September to November. And October being a really great time to come visit. Yeah. And I've John doesn't know any of these. I've written a couple of things down that are happening in October that everybody can come visit. And John will laugh at the first one because I'm kind of surprised how well she got back on her feet after her unfortunate incarceration. But we have the Martha Stewart Wine and Food Festival. Oh. Yes. And it's at the Las Vegas Festival Grounds, which are the new grounds. Unfortunately, one of the grounds involved in in the October 1st problem, but great grounds. It's wine and food and entertainment and the celebrity chefs like Michael Mina, Alain Ducasse, they're all coming, but it apparently a big deal. I've never been. Now, John laughed about. What do you think of Miss Stewart?
She's not among my favorite people, but I mean, I admit it. This lady knows how to do everything. You know, yes. I see her. Lewis Black once had a great joke about her too. Said, "Yeah, watch Martha Stewart in a Civil War uniform."
Yes. So and I read the article regarding this, and it's just look it up. Go to Vegas Gossip. I believe it's vegasgossip.com, and you'll find a lot of these. Pardon me. But she will be here.
Yeah.
You won't see her.
yeah. She'll be here when you want. Just like the Kardashians when they come, and they'll be there. You just won't see them.
Right. Now, next is something I've always known about. I've always wanted to see, but I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Is Rise, the Lantern Festival.
Oh, okay.
Which is the luminarias and the lanterns that they do. Apparently, there's
Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, it's in Mojave Desert. You have to go toward the Mojave, which is basically where people go to get their illegal fireworks and bring those back into Vegas.
Yeah.
But like 50,000 lanterns, each one, is different from the other. People bring their own and decorate them for in remembrance of somebody or something, to celebrate something. It's quite an amazing thing. Live bands play, and it's I think it's more alternative rock, but they have. They've embraced the food truck, which is not embraced here in Las Vegas.
No.
It is virtually impossible to get a food truck. And those that have them, the stringent laws. And I'm not quite sure why there's been the conspiracy that all the heavyweight, food people here in town.
And I think that there's probably some to that.
Yeah. The Hell's Kitchens of the world, they don't want food trucks. Well, I think that's unfair, but in the Mojave Desert, they're outside of the reach of the powerful kitchen people.
Yeah.
So there's food trucks and live bands, but it's called Rise.
Yeah, and now and then they'll have a food truck sort of festival or something where they are allowed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because their complaint is that they're paying rent in those high rent, and and the food truck isn't junk food.
No,
this isn't like Panda Express or or Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever.
Right.
This is, some of these people are really, really into it. Yeah, and I understand they have some really great stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
there was a guy in Portland that had his own. He was one of the best pizzas in Portland, and he had his own wood burning stove inside his truck. I mean, I can't imagine that get by the fire marshal, but it should have got 900 degrees or something that he needed for the pizza oven.
No, they're fantastic, and they do such a great job, and because they are so. There's an overwatch on them.
Yeah.
They're run very well. They use the word artisanal or artisanal. I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
That needs to go away. It's just
handmade sandwiches. How else do you make one? I'm just asking. How do you make with your feet?
But it's
machine.
It's Rise Lantern Festival, RISE, and that's coming up in October. Nomad is opening over at the Park MGM. Nomad is the hotel facility, entertainment facility, and it's Moroccan themed. They have a Moroccan themed pool. Yeah, it's going to open in October.
You ever have Moroccan food?
I have.
It's great.
It is great.
Yeah, it is.
I'm eating. I'm going on vacation in November, and there's a Moroccan food restaurant that I'm going to visit. But it's a soft opening for Nomad over there at the Park MGM Center, and all of the other Las Vegas podcasts and blogs and vlogs and everything else. I've already mentioned this, but I'm going to go ahead and mention this. Miss Celine Dion, she's leaving us.
Thank God.
This
is the second time, though, right? She'll be back.
The second time. And lots of cancellations.
But I will say, I will give her credit for this. When they say, they're going to have a residency. Well, the definition of residency has changed over the years. It used to be, the Rat Pack, they had a residency here. Elvis had a residency here because they were here all the time.
Right.
Wayne Newton had a residency here. Yeah. I don't consider it a residency.
I wouldn't leave.
Wouldn't leave. He still won't. I don't consider it a residency when you're here for like 10 days.
Yeah.
And then you're gone. It says, no. That's an engagement.
Yes.
That's an extended engagement.
Agreed.
Or they go, well, they'll be here again in 8 months to do another 10 days. No, that's not a residency. Yeah. Britney Spears did a residency, right? She was here most of the time for a while. Yeah. So that's a residency. And
Celine Dion, extremely talented. Love her work on the new Deadpool 2 video and music. But when she was, in her residency when you and I were working as concierge. And many is the time I arranged VIP tickets and she canceled.
Yeah, that's right. Because then her husband
was quite sick,
and she would cancel her. That was.
But someone is coming, and lastly, for sort of the entertainment section of this, someone is coming to the Cosmopolitan that I don't know if you like or dislike. I don't know. Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, I like Lenny Kravitz.
You like Lenny?
I remember seeing his waxed figure at the Venetian. Before they had even opened Madame Tussauds, he was there with the Kenny Rogers one, and I recognized it, and I thought, whoa, wow, that guy looks like Lenny Kravitz. From a distance, I thought it was a real guy. He just stands there, he's not moving, and I walked, holy shit, it's this wax statue.
Good one. And Zoe is becoming quite an actress. But
now I heard, no, I take that back. That's Zoe was in what movie?
Oh, I'm seeing it. I'll remember it by the end of the podcast, hopefully. I can't remember right now. She was in it was the female version of Very Bad Things. It was the girls that they weren't coming to Vegas, I don't believe. And they hired a stripper.
Yeah.
And they were going to go out to South Beach, I think it was. And the girl jumped on the male stripper and his head hit the fireplace, and Zoe Kravitz was in that. I don't know if that's what you're thinking of, but that was
the movie I started to think about. And again, I had my Anita Hill, Anita Baker moment again. Was Zodiac, and it was not Lenny Kravitz's daughter. Mm-hmm. It was Donovan's daughter who played the woman who was almost kidnapped by the Zodiac.
Yes,
because remember Donovan's haunting song, one of my favorites as a kid, "Hurdy Gurdy Man."
Okay.
Growing up, Hurdy Gurdy Man was featured in Zodiac. It's haunting in that movie.
Uh-huh.
And so Donovan's daughter, who Donovan being the singer, was in that movie.
Really?
And also, if you listen to Hurdy Gurdy Man, that's Jimmy Page doing the solos.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But also another coming in October on the 19th.
Yes.
At the T-Mobile, System of a Down.
Okay.
And Skeleton Witch. Yes.
John, you are a wellspring of knowledge of rock.
I know that because I got tickets to that.
There you go. Well, you mentioned the name Donovan, and I have to say this, and it's the only time I'm ever going to mention this. But I was in Disneyland. We were eating at one of their high-end restaurants called Carthay Circle.
Yeah.
And we were having a lovely time. Great restaurant, great experience, and I'm extremely good about faces and recognizing people and seeing them from a distance. And in the booth behind us, if anybody is a fan of Burn Notice, if anybody is a fan of Sicario or Sicario 2, or I believe Shut Eye on Hulu, just out of the blue, the strangest happening was Jeffrey Donovan.
Oh,
the actor Jeffrey Donovan, and there he was, and I can't say enough about the fact that he looks exactly the same. There's no camera magic for Jeffrey Donovan. He looks exactly the same on film as he does in real life, and he was in full-on dad mode with his kids and a lovely young lady with him. But I did not say hello because I always think that's rude. But he was there enjoying the same meal, the same restaurant. I just thought, wow. What an interesting thing. So lastly, John, on what to do in October, there is Cannabinition. Yes, and it is what you think is coming.
Good.
The first interactive museum of cannabis.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yes. Art, music, food, drink, everything that is cannabis is this Cannabinition, including having on display the world's longest, and I think it's interesting that the word they chose, longest bong. 24 feet tall.
Wow.
And it's practical. You can actually use it. It works.
Boy, you must really have to have good lungs.
That's a lot of water, too.
That's right. A swimming pool. Maybe we have chicks swimming in it.
Yeah, there you go. But that's in downtown Las Vegas. It's right near I believe the Zappos sort of area there.
Yeah.
But it's called I don't know if it's cannabinition or a cannabinition. In fact, I have a question for you, John.
Yeah.
And anybody can answer this, and I apologize for not knowing it. The non-THC, is it cannabinoid or cannabinoid?
I think it's the first one.
Cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid.
Okay, because on I watched Ballers with Mr. Dwayne Johnson, and they referred to it as cannabinoid. And I didn't know if they were poking fun at it or whatever. I've even checked with my Echo and see if the young lady agrees, and she does say cannabinoid. But I can also see the other one. So, guys,
well, it's cannabis, so it's based on that. I would think that the stress would be that. Depends on what
I
you
would
put
think
it.
so. The emphasis is on the wrong syllable, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. So John, on the marijuana subject.
Yeah.
Which I think is a dead issue, but the money is rolling in to our educational system. So the first checks have been cashed and things are happening, but all I hear, and these are anecdotal, first third party kind of thing, is that nobody's buying. They're going back to their friends of friends and buying from the college dude and the 60s throwback kid, the nouveau hippie.
Yeah, it's interesting because I guess, and I don't know if it's happening or not. But the whole thing that people wanted, right, was the legalization of it.
Right.
So I'm not going to go to jail for having this or smoking it somewhere. In my own home. So yeah, I mean, hey, I just revamped my garden. Can I grow it myself? Wonder. I guess not. But then, it gets to the point, okay, well, we're gonna regulate it and you can buy it. And that's great for somebody who doesn't have a dealer. Or doesn't want to grow it on their own or whatever, and that's fine. But yeah, you're gonna pay a price for it. Yeah. But I think what people were really pushing for was not so much a dispensary, but the legalization. Where I get it it doesn't matter, right?
I agree. Now your boy is faced with this subject, I'm sure, a lot now that it's accepted. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Now schools have banned vapes across the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now has he talked to you about this? Has he talked to you about
the
Las Vegas marijuana issue?
I asked him what drugs are big at school, and he told me, somewhat surprising to me, was cocaine. Because cocaine is well, of course, he goes, hey, we live in Henderson, so that's going to be a little bit more, affluent, upper middle class, whatever. Right. So yeah, I mean, I'm just surprised because when I was in school, when I was in college, that was the kind of the popular drug, of course, in the 80s was cocaine for people that had money. I mean, that's why people who didn't have money, hey, they invented crack, right? I mean, that's poor man's cocaine.
Yeah.
So that was to hit that market.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised to see that make it come back.
Now, do you think cannabis has, it has a storied history?
Yeah.
And hundreds, possibly even thousands of years, of existence. But even though it has been around forever, seemingly, do you think it's worth a museum? Is there enough about cannabis? Or is everything the museum is offering new? It has nothing to do with the historical aspect of cannabis. Yeah. It's the fact that we make a gummy bear out of it now. I mean, do you think it's worth the museum?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I've been to exhibits. I thought, I don't want to see this. And I go through it. Well, this was really interesting. I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah.
Michael Pollan, who wrote The Omnivore's Dilemma, he had it was on Netflix. It might still be there. You can stream it. He talked about 3 foods, or I shouldn't say 3 foods, but 3 plants that the relationship people have had with this plant. And one of them was corn. Because corn is unlike an apple, for example, has to be planted. I mean, an apple tree can grow. You know, an animal eats an apple off the ground. It wanders. It takes a dump, and there's a seed in it, and it can grow. But corn can't work that way. Corn has to be actually planted. So corn is dependent on humans for its survival. Otherwise, it won't grow somewhere. And then it becomes to the point where we eat so much corn that our physiologically we are becoming corn in some ways. You know, I mean, we have, indeed. So it's kind of like, and talk about an invasive species, right?
Well, it's the devil's food now.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but anyhow, one of the other relationships that Pollan talks about was marijuana. And he says, no other plant in history, human history, has been so studied and so loved. And he shows at this time, this was long before, I mean, I saw this documentary some years ago, before any of the states had legalized it. I mean, it might have been medical marijuana may have been around. But it shows, the elaborate ways that people go and testing it to see what can I grow this plant a little bit better to get higher off of it. So they have, elaborate systems for keeping the humidity the right level and how they test it and everything like that.
Right.
And, and a lot of this is, you might fall into that umbrella of like bro science, right? I mean, so it's just like, here's what I found if I use this for the soil or if I put the plant upside down.
Right, right.
Things like that. So yeah, it is, to me, that would be interesting if they found different ways it was used or what it's made, Of course, we know with hemp, which is related, is that it was that's what was made illegal in the U.S. mainly because it was competing with cotton.
Yes, exactly.
As a material for making clothes.
Yes. Now, the thing I find amazing, that the fact that you're absolutely right, it seems like cannabis and all the related data has been gathered over centuries and decades to centuries, and yet we are still so lacking in what data we really need.
Yeah.
The power of it. What strains are this? The THC and should it be considered a drug? Should it be considered a healthful stress reliever? And we don't have enough because there's still such black and white arguments again. Is it habit forming? Is it a gateway? Or is it like this wonder plant that everybody wants to say it is? But we research everything, that this sort of strange, the magazine style research that's being done, but nothing about the numbers that we really need to make some legal decisions. I don't know. I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily Las Vegas related, but it's related to something that's near and dear to our hearts, our vegetarianism.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Joe Rogan video podcast where he had it was him, a doctor supporting paleo and a doctor supporting vegetarianism? Did you watch that?
No.
I haven't watched it either. So, but where do you stand on that? Where do you stand on paleo, vegetarian, and meat till you die? Where do you stand? Because you are what you are. You're a staunch vegetarian.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a rather high protein diet because I just don't eat flesh.
Oh, right.
I'll eat eggs. Those are fine. I don't consider myself, and that's it. I don't put myself in one camp.
Yeah.
As humans, we are omnivores, so we have adapted to eat almost anything.
Yeah.
If you look at what we used to call Eskimos, the Inuits.
I don't think we call them Inuit anymore. A First Nation or something.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's not even right anymore.
Yeah. Well, the people we're referring to, they whatever was available to them, which was not plants. It was high fat and blubber and meat, and that was it. And they were quite healthy people. Mm-hmm. So their bodies adapted to that. And one of the things is low carb. That was a real low carb diet. And again, I looked at it as, and having lived in other countries and looking at what the Japanese are not vegetarian.
Right.
In fact, it's much easier to find something without meat in a regular restaurant here than it is in Japan.
Yes.
And I'm getting away from sushi and stuff like that. Almost everything they put. I had a seafood pizza once in Japan and had ham on it. I had to pick it off. And I asked, since when do pigs swim? Huh? I said, it says it's a seafood pizza. Ham is not a seafood. It's not.
They swam to get to Japan.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe in Japan they swim. But it is but what I find, and I think when you look at cultures where people live really long lives, they often are more rural areas, and people ate natural food. So I don't think it's so much what you eat. It's again, is meat bad for you? Well, I think it depends where it comes from. The meat in the United States is a very low quality because of of what the cows eat. And they're being fed corn and all kinds of other bullshit.
Yeah.
And that gets into their meat. Now, from a marketing perspective, it makes the cows fat. So I got more cow there. I got more beef I can sell. So it's just a marketing decision. But I don't think that that's healthy. That's not to say that meat isn't. I wouldn't go there. I don't eat it because I don't like the taste of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm going to watch it. You should watch it. Watch it, John.
Everybody. You're going to be good and bad on all of that.
Yeah. But the articles are already out that all the numbers were wrong and they were lying and this and that. So I'm very interested to watch that. Anybody listening that gives a rat's ass about vegetarian arguments, watch it and let me know. Love to hear it. But welcome back, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with me. Everybody, thanks for listening to the Pod Bay Door. Thanks for continuing to listen. And any information that we can acquire for you regarding Las Vegas, we will be glad to do. It's the podbaydoorlv@gmail.com. Be kind, find your peace, and we will see you next week. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.